it's hard, and you want to live and breathe the brand. It's supposed to be the most nutrient-dense food on the planet.
And then I have only my apricot, and it's just not like that. Like it's real life. It's go, go, go. So today I have Laura Fullerton back to talk about a slightly different topic. We're actually going to be covering the topic of being a female founder. There's a lot of noise around this, and I thought there's actually no one better that's actually going through the stages of starting a business, very much probably from a kitchen table to realising the actual full potential of it, and is currently raising capital as well, which is something that I really want to get into. So thank you, Laura, so much for sharing this, because this is a bit more of a personal one of your personal journey as a CEO and founder. Obviously, I run my business too, so it's really nice and therapeutic for me to actually, I feel like we need like a support club. It's really therapeutic to actually just talk to someone who's also going through the challenges, because as many highs as there are, I think I can vouch that there are just as many tough days. Yes. and resilience is key. So I'm just going to start with how are you? Because I'm sure you're on a roller coaster right now.
Yes, I always find when people say how are you, that's just like a key to open the floodgates.
Cry right now, Laura. I want tears.
No, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. It's a lot. It's a lot. So at the moment, we're building a product which is hardware and software which have to talk to each other. We're fundraising, so you know what it's like. There's always so much going on.
Yeah.
100 miles an hour, but
and there's the stuff you're naturally leaning into that you're like, oh, that's fun and juicy, and I want to do that. But then you know, the really important stuff on this side is where you, as the founder, have got to keep your eyes on.
Yeah,
the ball,
totally.
Right?
And it's having that balance between being strategic and wanting to execute, and just trying to keep everything spinning. And
so talk me through. So actually, what tasks are you working on right now? Because this is always really interesting. And where are you most drawn to within the business at the moment? Is it the tech side? Because I'm guessing that's really exciting to build out the software.
Yeah, it is. It's super exciting. But that's the thing. There are so many different elements. So we'll be having a call and we'll be going through the wireframes and everything tech and app related, and that's super exciting. I get so immersed into that, and then suddenly you're like, oh, we need to actually work with the lawyer on this stuff over here and implementing. You know, it's like EMI schemes and all kinds of stuff. So just constantly being drawn in so many different directions. But yeah, the building the product is always super exciting. But then we're fundraising as well, which is just a full-time job in itself.
Wow. And the product, just to recap on that, is going to be, I would say, kind of world-leading ice baths that people can put into their homes to experience cold water therapy. And you're also going to have the app components go alongside that, so people can really track their metrics and see the amazing results and benefits. So what are your, because I know what this is like, everything goes out the window when you're in the midst of fundraising and running businesses and things like that. What are your wellness strategies that you employ? Obviously, we have cold water therapy. I'd love to know how often you use that, how you use that, and what other things do you do that are absolute non-negotiables for you, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly. Mm-hmm.
So this is where you're going to realise how weird I am.
Okay. I think I've already realised, by the way, through just the short chats that we've had. No, I love this.
So I guess, you know, we're both in this world because we love wellness, we love health.
Yeah.
And it's ironic in a way that you start then building a business, and actually, like you say, it's almost like the first thing to go out of the window.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's hard, and you want to live and breathe the brand. And I think, you know, this is now my third startup, and the first two I definitely drove myself into the ground. So this time I've had much stronger boundaries and strategies and things that I want to do. So if I just walk you through a day, so when I first wake up, I always have soul water, water with salt in it. I do tongue scraping, that kind of thing. I eat raw frozen liver, not every morning, probably about 4 a week.
Okay.
And I know it always sounds odd. It's not appealing. No one wants to go and eat like raw frozen organs, but it's just so phenomenally good for you. Yeah.
I'm imagining it's just packed full of the good stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's supposed to be the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, and that's why I do it. I think if you can just do that first thing in the morning, get it done, you then feel like you've achieved a lot.
It's literally like taking your vitamins. You just take the liver, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done, out the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what else does the morning look like? So after that?
So I always pair some breath work with red light therapy. So I've just got one of those big red light stands. And to be honest, that's the only light that I use in the evening as well. Because it really helps with circadian rhythm, so you don't have blue light.
Sleep. Amazing.
Yeah, for sure. That's made a huge difference to my sleep.
Okay. And is there any cold water therapy on a daily basis, or is it a weekly basis, or is it when you feel that you need it, just sort of like
So at the moment, it's really hard because we only have one prototype.
I was about to say, do you have one? Come on, this is what I'm trying to get to. Okay.
And this thing, everyone's like, you must be so good at it. And I'm like, well, I can't do it all the time. But so at the moment, I do it at least twice a week. I go to the Serpentine. That's a lie. Once or twice a week, I go to the Serpentine. Okay. And then I do cold showers as well throughout the week.
Nice.
So, I kind of incorporate it on nearly a daily basis. But as we were talking about earlier, I like to live in line with my infradian rhythm. So paying attention to the various cycles. So if I was, menstruating, then I wouldn't be using cold water therapy. I wouldn't be exercising.
Of course. Being much kinder to yourself on those days, which is so important.
Yeah.
I think it's always great to speak to another wellness professional about their wellness strategies, because people assume that we wake up every day and I do my 60-minute workout and then I sit and I do a 20-minute meditation and then I have only my avocado, and it's just not like that. Like it's real life. It's go, and there are days when you have a croissant for breakfast and you're like, I just know that's not going to do anything for me and that's terrible, but I just have to eat because I'm on the go. And so it's really, that's why I love like tapping into that.
Yeah.
Exercising, is that something that you do? Do you have time for?
Yes. Yeah, I really try and make that one of my non-negotiables because I feel so much better when I do it.
Yeah.
And so I do normally, I'd call it gymnastics strength training, kind of a mixture of weightlifting and mobility.
Yeah.
For the last few years, I've said I'm really trying to get my ring muscle up and like a really strict handstand. But I haven't actually been properly training towards them. So in 4 years, I'm like,
you've got a lot of goals right now, Laura. Don't worry, you're ticking other ones off like way off the list. The handstand is going to come. I've got a good feeling. And then, I mean, how are these the tools that are really helping you manage the stress and anxiety of running a business? Yeah. Because it's a lot.
It is a lot. It really is. So yeah, I'll try and work out. I'd like to say I'd do like 5 times a week, but really it's not. It's 4, and it just depends, right? Sometimes you just have crazy busy periods, and you just have to accept that. Okay, that's going to take a slight backseat. But sauna I find really helpful as well. More so for just mentally, just calming down.
Yeah.
And then in the evenings, I think I guess they're not really wellness strategies. Well, I guess they are in the sense that they're mental health strategies. So I really try not to work late. And I try and have that as a real non-negotiable. I try not to I don't actually have a TV, but I will watch Netflix on my laptop or something if I need to, but I'll wear the really cool blue blocking glasses and also one of the biggest things for me is not eating too close to dinner. I eat dinner quite early, and that makes such a difference.
I've got to say, this is one of the benefits of having kids is that they eat dinner at 5, and I often eat dinner with them because I'm only going to be in that kitchen once, and if I'm home early enough to eat with them, I would just eat at 5:30 with them, and then I might log on for a little bit of work, but then I'm like you, if I work too close to my sleep time, I won't sleep. I will be wired, and
your brain's just going on and on.
Brain is going on. I'm finding that's harder to slow down as we're getting older. It's like, I don't know, that it's really hard to switch off some nights. Phone, are you strict about your phone? Because that's another big one when you're a founder, when you're running a business. I find the biggest change I made for myself was just not being accessible all the time.
Yeah. I need to get better at that. But I mean, I have things like we talk a lot on Slack, and I just have schedules so, I don't get notified of anything past X time. But I think that's something that I've also really tried to implement on my team is that, I wouldn't message them at whatever time at night. And if I wanted to send an email just so it's out of my head, I'll schedule it so it lands in their inbox at an okay time.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to implement that culture, but like always on. I want people to have...
And you're right, being in the wellness space, we have to be at the forefront of implementing these healthier cultures of saying, no, you don't need to be online right now. No, you need to go and take a sick day because you're breathing not well and all of these things. So talk us through the journey so far. So I think there's going to be a lot of people that are listening with an idea, something rattling away in their head. And I know how persistent these ideas are. Like once they start and they form, they take on a life of their own. And it's almost like, they're either going to rattle around until you're very old and unable to do anything about it, or you have to take that action.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of people will not take that action. So talk me through the idea at the kitchen table to bringing it to the stage where you've now raised your friends and family round, and you're launching, obviously, the seed raise, which is going to be really exciting, much bigger sums of money for you guys to be able to scale this. What did that look like?
So I think the thing I found with the three businesses I've started is that I've had this, like, I can't not do it.
Yes.
It's like that feeling. And I think when you speak to a lot of people, they just say like, I could never not work for someone else. Like I knew I always wanted a business. Whereas for me, it was more like this it's like a magnet being drawn to it. It's like I had this weird idea and I can't not, like, I just have to bring it to life.
You have to explore it and take it,
And I think the journey with Monk has been so different because it's the first time I've been a founder and a CEO. Like I've been a founder before, but never been in this position where I have a bigger team. We're raising external money. Like I've never fundraised before, and it's just on such a completely different scale. And so, yeah, the idea, I remember being there at the kitchen table, just, writing all these things down and just getting so excited about it and realizing, okay, if I do this, is going to be a really big thing. And we realized early on to bring something like hardware and software to life, it takes a lot of money up front. So I realised, okay, I'm going to have to fundraise.
Very capital intensive.
Yeah.
And when I did my research into it, I can now look at it like not from like, oh, this is flashy and shiny, and I looked at it through like these eyes of like, wow, Laura's probably working on this and this and this and the materials and the shipping and all of it together, and then the tech comes in, and I can see it's a complex product, but that's probably why it's so exciting, is because it's so complex and it's so interesting. So you had the idea, really radical and interesting idea, and then what's the next step? Is it building a website? Is it talking to people about it and bringing on that team, early supporters? Like, how does someone take an idea like that and actually get to the stage that you're at?
I'm trying to think what the order, how we actually did it was. I mean, yes,
it's
to
blur,
the
isn't
website.
it?
Yeah, it's just a crazy blur. I mean, even building the website at first, it was just something that I did on Wix or I can't even remember what platform we used. Like now it's on Shopify and we, bought someone to actually build it. But yeah, in the first few days few months, it is just you doing everything. And I'm sure you know what it's like. Yep. You're doing the admin, the legals, the accounting.
Things you're terrible at.
Yeah, and
things
you have to get good at them.
Yeah, you have to get good at them really fast.
Yeah. And so I think I managed to bring on a couple of super smart people early on. So there's one guy in particular, Lee, who I've known for the best part of a decade now, and he was the kind of person I'd go to with ideas over the years, and he would just tear them to pieces. And you always need that person,
need the sounding board. You need the person that's not going to lie to your face.
Yeah.
And is just going to give it to you, because you're going to hear that from the investors anyway, right?
Yeah. So you want to know what the problems are going to be early on, and to really face like the reality of it. And so he was, it was the first idea I'd gone to him with in 8 years, where he went, yes, I love this one. And his background, he was an athlete. He spent years, in dustbins full of ice, like, homemade.
So he gets it. He fully gets it.
Yeah, fully got it.
Is that a part of, I know this more just exploring this out loud, is just saying the idea out loud to as many people as possible.
Yes.
Because I was like that. I would just start telling people that I was going to do it. And it made me do it. It's that accountability piece.
Yeah.
Did that help you? Because
for sure, absolutely. And actually thinking about it, one of the biggest things is having a good network. That's been everything. And I've tried to build one up over the years, but actually joining a couple of networking groups or like membership groups has been so helpful as well, because you're constantly talking to other founders and even investors and people, and it's amazing how people can just kind of step in and help you.
And I think that shift is really important. If you are going from maybe having a 9 to 5 and you've got your colleagues, and actually if you're going to make this jump, exactly that, you need that support group of people that are either going through it or have been through it, because your conversations are going to start to look entirely different.
Yeah.
And the stress is entirely different, and your day-to-day is entirely different. Okay, and then I guess you're now in the stages of talking to investors.
Yes, yeah.
How are these conversations going? Because there again, just like when we were talking about ice baths, there's a lot of noise around the ice baths and we want to demystify it. There's a lot of noise around women raising and VCs wanting to support female founders more, and a lot more capital that's available. Have you had a positive experience? Are you finding your way into the boardroom easier, or how has all of that been? How's navigating this world been for you?
It's been eye-opening, because I'd never raised money before in either of my two businesses. They were just bootstrapped. And so it was just this whole new world. And so we're raising our seed raise at the moment. And so we raised to friends and family last year. And so that was my first experience. So it's been a completely different journey for both of those. And I remember for the very first round, I'd made this deck, and I remember it was the most excruciating 10 minutes of my life, where Lee made me like pitch it to him, and I'd never pitched anything like this before. It was awful. Yeah. And actually the other day I looked back and saw that first pitch deck, and it was almost like quite cathartic, like looking at it and being like, wow, that's where we started.
And this is where we are.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I think it's really hard if you're not in this world to suddenly and I don't know if that's a female condition. That's what I'm finding so interesting because I'm like you, I've never raised, and it's really interesting. You've had 2 businesses are not raised, so like congratulations for that, because that's a huge feat.
Thank you.
Does it feel natural? Does it feel like something that now you're getting really good at? Is it like almost like a muscle you've got to keep exercising and then you suddenly get really good at it?
Yeah, do you know what? Now I feel really comfortable. Like, I realised this yesterday. I was having a meeting with an investor, and I didn't need to really prep beforehand, because it's just, now I know it. It's my business, and you get into a groove, I guess. You know what kind of questions they're going to ask, and especially now we've figured out so much more of the business. In that very first raise, I was essentially raising off a piece of paper. It was an idea. Yes. I didn't know if it was possible. I didn't know so many things. So it's been just been a completely different journey, and especially of how I feel going into those meetings. Yes. Which is amazing. But also, to your point earlier, the stats are not good for females raising. I think it's 2 or 3% of capital raised goes to females, which is absurd. Yeah,
we're still under 5%, which is, given how many women I know, and you probably know in our networks that are running businesses, I wonder if it's one, because you didn't put yourself forward for your previous 2 businesses, and obviously we don't have time to get into all of that today, but I also have managed to really bootstrap and then make a profitable business. But it didn't really even occur to me that I'm going to go out and raise huge amounts of money. And so I wonder if that's a psyche thing, or I wonder if that's women just being so scared of just even entering into that arena. It's a really interesting conversation. Yeah. And I'm really hoping you're going to blow those stats out the water, Laura. So and become part of that. So yeah, it's very exciting. Great. And so you're in the stages of raising that. What does the team look like at the moment?
So at the moment, there's just 3 of us full-time. Then there's a wider, I think we've got 3 fractional people, including like CTO and product manager. And then we've got the tech team and the product teams. Then there's just a lot. There's a lot of us. So there's a lot to manage, a lot of moving parts. Yes. But yeah, it's great.
And if someone is just sat there going, okay, now I've got this idea, can you give them some tangible steps on what they can actually do, just to even, they may not be at the stage of raising, or they may actually have a functioning business, but what advice would you give someone that is listening, that is feeling inspired by this and wanting to take the plunge? Take the plunge, there we go. Let's coin the phrase, but literally take that plunge.
I think in terms of just starting a business or excelling your current business, for me, the most impactful things are finding super smart people and bringing them around the table, even if that's in an advisory role. Or better yet, what's worked really well for me is having really smart, great investors. And some of those are also advisors, like my chairman is an investor. And just having those people around the table has allowed us to achieve so much more. So that's something that's worked really well. Another thing that actually has worked particularly well, especially when it comes to investment, is having really good communication. So I send out a monthly investor update email, and I get so much great feedback through that. And it's surprising how many investors say, oh, I actually forwarded it on to someone else I invested in because they don't do this. And it's also allowed me to get more investors on board. So say if we're going for our raise at the moment, so I have one list I send to my current investors and another one that I'll send to potential investors. And it might not be that I send that monthly, maybe it's quarterly, and it's just hey, look at this amazing stuff we've achieved.
But you're staying in that inbox, you're staying in that conversation with them, which is brilliant.
And it shows them that you're consistent.
And that strategy can very much just be applied, even if someone's not looking to raise, but they're looking to scale an idea, right? Yeah. Just start talking to your people. Whoever they are, it might be your customers, it might be your first few suppliers, whoever it is, just start using tools like email and networking to just communicate, right? Because communication is a massive part of it. Great. And then I want to finish this with a question that I'm going to be asking every single guest, because I think it's just interesting to reflect back. What one piece of advice would you give your 21-year-old self if you could today?
I would say just go for it, which actually, it sounds silly, but that's also been one of my intentions for this year. Just lean into the fact that what's the worst that could happen if you just go for it? Just ask for what you want and just see what happens. And
I feel like you are someone that has gone for it though, Laura. You really have. You're your third business, eating liver in the morning. It's pretty inspiring. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think we're plagued by so much self-doubt in our 20s.
Oh, for sure. Even in 30s.
Even in your 30s, it's true. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for being honest with us and being, you know, sharing personal insights, which I know is not easy, especially when you're at the stage of raising. But we are all rooting for you and can't wait to see all the amazing things that you do.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.